welcome to Hash Global Leadership Conversation number one. We actually believe leadership is in crisis all over the world, and we need to start a global leadership conversation. This is only the first one. And to kick it off for the next few months, we'll be asking on a regular basis some key leaders all over the world, just two questions and only for 5 minutes. And all these high impact interview recordings will be placed on Global Leadership Platform, and it's for all people to comment. In other words, starting with the leaders, that's what we do, but everyone else's comments matter. And this really is just the beginning. With me, Gordana Biernat. Of course, she's a very interesting person. I don't know, I see you as a philosopher, I see you as a teacher, sure. I see you as a leadership expert guru. Oprah Winfrey's Super Soul 100 teacher, speaker, author. So a lot of things. And it's an honor to have you with us. Let me ask let me first say welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it, and I love our conversations.
So Gordana, two questions. The first question I'm asking is, what is the most important quality or attribute we need to develop, awaken, or improve in leaders if we are going to turn around this current leadership crisis? What is your vote? I know there's more, but which one would you put at the top of the list?
Well, I feel like we have to address two things in this question before we can answer it, because I don't think that we can awaken, improve, or what did you say, develop anything in anyone else. We can only do it in ourselves. So I cannot teach you to find your true self. Only you can find your true self from within. So that is the first thing we need to address in this question. And the second thing is, I don't think that there is a leadership crisis in the world. What I do think is that we have a consciousness crisis in the world, because the leaders that are put in powerful places are put there by us. And they are also an expression of what we think about ourselves and how much we know about ourselves. So we have to go deeper or broader or higher, or call it whatever you want. We need to grow in consciousness, because it's the same thing as Einstein says, you cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. And this basically means that we need to grow in our own consciousness to solve this problem, because it's not an isolated problem that we are trying to find the leaders that are not good. It is actually a problem of us choosing the wrong leaders, because we do not see those attributes in ourselves. So we are choosing the wrong leaders, and we cannot change that by changing them. We need to change ourselves in order to choose the right leaders for ourselves, because a leader is always an expression of the problem that is going to be solved and the consciousness that created that problem.
So am I hearing you right, that if I could put it in my context here, that the first quality, collectively maybe and individually, we as leaders need to develop would be a better consciousness?
Yes, well, not maybe a better consciousness, it would be more a holistic consciousness, because what has happened in the Western world, at least, is that we have become left-brainers. We are dominated by the masculine principle, and each and every one of us, we do have polarities going on in our bodies, and we have the masculine and the feminine principle within us. When we balance these two, that is when we find leaders that are holistic. But we are not doing this in our society. We are so much in our left brain, which means that we are using only half of our potential. So we need to become more aware of what it is we are doing in this reality, become more aware of how to put together both the feminine and the masculine principle and use them overlapping each other. As it is right now, we have created, I don't know if I dare to say this, but we have created an insane world, because we have been doing it with our left brains. And of course, nobody feels good in that world. Men can't feel good in that world. Women can't feel good in that world, because we are not balanced. I'm wearing a French lily today just because I wanted to talk about the balance. This is a symbol of balance. The centerpiece is you, And the two other pieces around them is the polarity of this world. It is the darkness, the light, it is the moon and the sun, it is the feminine and the masculine principle, it is the negativity and the positivity. And we live in a world which has both of these in equal amounts. And if we are imbalanced, we will be choosing things that are out of balance. And we all feel that we live in a world that is out of balance. Of course, our leaders will express that, nothing else. So we need to go deeper. We need to become more aware of our own balance, to know who we truly are. And then we will choose the leaders that express that. So we have to go broader, higher, bigger. That's what we need to do.
All right. So the whole thing of balance, it takes us everywhere and anywhere. So the leader's ability to appreciate movement and resistance, the leader's ability to not even be, well, to be very aware of myself, who I really am, but that includes my weaknesses and my strengths. It includes the opposites inside me. And all these are supposedly, in some way, shape, or form, a friend, not an enemy, because that's what kind of makes life worthwhile. And so how do we bring that consciousness out in leaders? That's the second question. Is it's fine. You are coming from another angle, but I think it's a very valuable angle. And the whole thing is, how do we bring that out in our leaders in the same old programs, same old business school modules, same old whatever, books maybe, I don't know. It just feels like we're still trying to address the same issue, a different issue with the same methods. There's the whole consciousness, there's coaching, the world has gone a long way supposedly in the development domain, but I would guess you would say we're not there, because look at the kind of leaders we choose, look at the reflection of ourselves.
Yes, I think that maybe we're not there because we are at the end of this, and that is why we are choosing worse leaders now than we chose before. But I sense that in the younger generation, this is normal to balance the feminine and the masculine principle within them. They're not feeling the same things that my generation or even older generations did. So I feel that there is a movement going on, the movement that is going to change this. What you want, Adrian, you want to change it now. You want to change it this minute. You want them to change right now, the people that are sitting there. And you are doing it by having these conversations. We are literally heightening the consciousness. So it is going to be done in an organic way. As long as we address this, and as long as we talk about it, as long as we can put it in words the way we are doing here, it will organically change itself. But it cannot change tomorrow, and you cannot change anyone else. It has to come from within.
So are you equating consciousness to feminine and masculine?
No, consciousness is all that is. This is just one aspect of it. Consciousness is all that is. We are all here exploring this conscious world. We are all the same consciousness experiencing itself through me and through you. So actually I'm talking to myself, but this is going too deep for this conversation. So everything is consciousness. The feminine and the masculine aspects or principles are only one part of that consciousness.
I understand. But it is about becoming more conscious holistically, not just conscious of my left brain, not just conscious of my right brain, not just conscious of the fact that I'm a man, or not just conscious of I want to create movement and move forward and perform. And that's a big ask. How do we do that? I mean, I guess you say conversations like this, you say we need much more depth in development, in coaching, in
yes, and we also, yes, but we also need to be more aware of every now moment. When you know who you are and you are very aware of every single now moment, you also know what is right and wrong. And that is where things go astray, because when you don't know who you are, you will act from ego-based perspective. And that might make you do things that are not morally right. So you cannot teach someone who is in their ego mind. You cannot teach them who they are. They need to explore it themselves. They need to find it themselves. If they stay in ego mind, they will make wrong decisions in this world. So you cannot change that, but what you can change is your way of thinking and affect others to think, to try and find themselves, to know who they are. And that will lead us to find leaders that express that in us. It is every leader is an expression of that society, always, of the underlying energies in that society. That is how I see the world. I don't know how others see it, but I feel like when we say, how did he get power? Well, he got power because you gave him power.
Isn't that strange? Just to end off, I mean, we were very ambitious to think we can have a short conversation, but we talk to ourselves. So we say, oh, Donald Trump, oh, what a leader. Jacob Zuma, we're really talking to ourselves. That's what you say. You know, I can't sit on the side and say, what a stupid leader, what an awful leader. Well, sorry, you put him there, you or your society put him there, so it's a reflection of where you are, in effect. And yeah, we must have more conversations. You've given us a very interesting angle and a lot to think about in terms of what's the quality we need. So it's not about developing leaders. It's not about how we can bring it out in leaders. We've got to do it ourselves. So maybe what's needed is we need to awaken the awareness that we must all honestly dig deep, find who we truly are, be more conscious, and so on and so forth.
Yes, and why do we do that? Because think of it this way. It's almost a revolutionary act to talk about love in politics or in the corporate world or in the scientific society. You can't talk about love. What are you, naive or what? You're not supposed to talk about love. And yet, when you find out who you truly are, you are unconditional love. That is the essence of who you are. So we are not allowed to talk about our own essence in politics, in the corporate world. And we sit here and wonder, why do we have leaders that cannot show compassion, that do not understand what love is, that are capable of doing horrible acts? Because we are not allowed to speak about it. So the first thing would be to talk about love, to talk about compassion, to talk about what is right and wrong, morally speaking. That is what we need to do. And I know it sounds like a very big thing and you wanted me to boil it down to one thing, but I think it is a danger to boil it down to one thing because you miss the point. The point is that we need to change everything within us so that we will find the right leaders from that perspective. It will always be an expression of who we are. The entire reality is an expression of who I am. It is an extension of who I am. And so is your reality, an extension of who you are. So if you want to change something, you need to change it from within. You need to change your perspective. You need to go higher. As Einstein said, you need to change your thinking if you want to solve the problem.
Well, that's the one thing. Yes. We are boiling down to it in the end. So thank you so much, Gordana Biernat.
Thank you.
Hash Global Leadership Conversation number 1, and it's all about trying to get to the bottom of what we need to do. It's ambitious, but it's the start. We're going to have many conversations on Global Leadership Platform, and we appreciate your time so much.
Thank you for having me.